morning, everybody. Today is Monday, which means it's a Monday morning edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder, sitting up in here with the comedians known as Rodney Perry and comedian known as Fig. Comedian known as Talent will be back tomorrow. He handling his business. And, of course, today's episode is the Super Bowl recap. Now, if you guys are familiar with these comedians, they've been comedians who've been in the game since, oh my God, Def Comedy Jam. They've been in comedy sports, they comedy film festivals and everything. They've been in comedy for a long time. Now they're in this comedy sports show. This sports talk shows, we're going to discuss a lot of stuff about sports. So first of all, how was you guys' weekend, Rodney Perry? How was you guys' weekend, Fig? How's everything?
Great weekend, man. Super Bowl weekend. It was interesting to say the least. Yeah. Great football game though.
Yeah, man, I had a great weekend. My weekend was fantabulous. My Knicks are doing great, and the Super Bowl was garbage. It was boring. It was a whack game. It wasn't even close. I thought it was going to be competitive, so I hated it.
Okay, didn't ask you that part yet, but okay, thank you for telling me.
And didn't the Knicks lose?
No. We won one and we lost one.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Let me get ready to jump into the COVID report, except I guess I'm not going to jump into it like I normally do because there's so much to report in the COVID report. I don't want to take too much out of it because I'll be talking about that for the next 5 or 10 minutes. So we got a lot to talk about with the Super Bowl. So let's jump into the Super Bowl recap real fast and let's just handle. First of all, the Super Bowl was the Super Bowl. It was what we expected, right? To the extent of it was a game. It happened. Rodney Perry, before I jump into my questions about the Super Bowl, what was your first take that you thought of when you sat back and the game hit 0-0? What's your first take?
I'm Tom Brady is the GOAT, man. I mean, the guy came out there and he proved why you shouldn't bet against him, whether it's Drew Brees or Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers, all these other guys. The buck stopped with Tom Brady, and he proved it.
Okay, all right. Well, Fig, what was your first take when you got to that? When you saw obviously 0-0 on the clock. What was your first take?
I was hoping for a good game. I was like, I thought that the Chiefs would win, but I thought it was going to be a competitive game, and what I came away from it thinking is that offensive line needs to get paid a lot of money because when they're missing, it shows.
All right, let's jump into the dynamics of the game, which nobody was talking about last night. There were 2 women coaches on the staff, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers have an all-black staff except for their head coach. Nobody mentioned that. The 2 women, Lori Locust and Mariah Javadar, I can't even pronounce her name because she is a different descent.
Female referee on the field, too.
Yeah, and there was a female. I was getting ready to get to that part. But the thing is that Todd Bowles and Brian Leftwich really did not get a lot of, basically acknowledgement until this morning. And first thing I'm thinking, Rodney, before we even really dissected the game, I'm thinking if you own an NFL team right now, you need to be calling up Todd Bowles because that defense shut down Kansas City right now. I've watched Patrick Mahomes come into the league. I don't know about you, but I can't remember when Kansas City has never scored at least one football touchdown in a game. I can't remember that. Do you remember that at any time since Pat Mahomes?
I mean, look, the kid has proven time and time again that he shows up in these clutch moments, and he was nowhere to be found because they kept that heat on his butt. I figured right. The defensive line was balling out. It's not that the offensive line was bad. It's the defensive line is very good. And so we saw it. We saw it against the Saints. We saw it against Green Bay. Everybody talking about Aaron Rodgers didn't get to play on 4th down. Well, guess what? His first, second, and third down was horrible because it was on his ass. Yeah.
Because if we do recall, Aaron Rodgers couldn't even score a touchdown, and that exact same thing happened last night when the Kansas City Chiefs was on the 1-yard line. The same thing happened to them too last night. Chiefs couldn't score on the 1-yard line either. Fig, talk to me.
I like to wrap my head around the fact that Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs had 3 starting offensive linemen that was out of the game with injuries. Then we talk about the fact that a couple of his receivers dropped 2 touchdown passes in the end zone. They dropped them. One, Patrick Mahomes threw where he was damn near laying down on the turf when he threw the ball, his receiver in the hands, and he dropped it. Tyreek Hill dropped one. So this game could have been a lot different. And then you wrap your mind around the fact that Andy Reid's son got caught up into some stuff right before they left for the game. And just a lot. Listen, put it to you this way. You heard of Murphy's Law? Everything that could go wrong did for the Kansas City Chiefs this time. Everything that could go wrong really went wrong for them. Shaq Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, and Ndamukong Suh. Major factors in the defense. Patrick Mahomes ran for 450 yards scrambling yesterday, trying to get away from that rush.
Let's just say this. The defense of these guys, they beat Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. They beat Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. And then they beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And right now, Tom Brady is getting a lot of the credit for that. Whereas I was saying just a few seconds ago, Todd Bowles and Brian Leftwich, who is the offensive coordinator, both those guys should be getting some kind of job offers this morning. I mean, of course, there's a couple of teams who are not offering him nothing, but there needs to be some kind of recognition for those dudes. But let me even throw this out there. My favorite moment of the game, I couldn't care either one about the game. My favorite moment of the game was when Antoine Winfield got called for that taunting penalty, because we remember when they played a couple of weeks ago and Tyron and Hill did a backflip and he did the two fingers and everything. That was my favorite moment of the game, even though he got a taunting penalty. But that was just my favorite moment. Rodney Perry, tell me more of your thoughts on this, man.
Man, you know what, man? I mean, these teams have developed a bit of a rivalry over the season. And so because of that, they was a little chippy at points in the game. And that's always good for football. I mean, you dealing with grown men, dude, and people, it's fun to win, but it's no fun to get your ass kicked. And whether you Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs or you Tom Brady, nobody likes to lose. And so, it got chippy. I wouldn't go so far as my colleague Fig to say it was a bad game, though. I mean, the score was lopsided, but it was a good game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think it was a good game. And I think every moment of the game, as we were watching it, every single moment of the game, you just knew Kansas City was getting ready to come back. I kept waiting for the big comeback. I just kept wondering. And then I was like, okay, I guess it's not coming. Because especially when
don't call it a comeback.
Yeah, especially when the 0-0 came up over the
Let me tell you some more synopsis on this whole thing. In fact, is that I like to see a game that's competitive and it really comes down to the fourth quarter. By the first half, it seemed like the game was over.
No.
You know what I mean? And at that point, I went to shovel some snow off the car and then clean off the driveway so it'd be clear this morning. And then I realized that the halftime show was done by The Weeknd. And man, I think The Weeknd need to change his name to Monday through Friday. And he need to take weekends off. That's what I think. I think The Weeknd need to take weekends off and just take on Monday through Friday. That's what I think.
Okay. Now, I did hear some people say it was weak and they wanted it to end, but they but here goes. As a performer, Fig, imagine doing the Super Bowl and ain't nobody there.
Right.
Ain't nobody actually in the stadium.
Hey, man, this is a guy who has a song to talk about, I can't feel my face when I'm with you. I can't feel my face. I can't feel my ears when you're performing.
He can sing. He did a decent job. How about this? This might have been the blackest Super Bowl ever.
Yeah.
They sung "Lift Every Voice and Sing." They had a girl sing the national anthem. They had. I mean, this was a black man. This was a black Super Bowl.
Yeah, everything except for the winning quarterback.
You also got the whole coaching staff is black.
Yeah, of the winning team. Yeah, that's. But let me ask you this, Rodney Perry: Did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now lay down the blueprint of how to beat the Kansas City Chiefs to every other NFL team out there?
Man, let me tell you something. They ain't worried about beating the Chiefs. They worried about beating whoever's sitting in front of them. They laid out the blueprint of how to kick Aaron Rodgers in the butt. They laid out the blueprint how to kick Drew Brees in his balls, ribs or no ribs. And on top of that, anybody line up against these guys, I mean, I think we're gonna see more powerful QBs that really are coaching and putting their teams together. I mean, like what LeBron has done, we seen Tom Brady do in football. He put his squad together. He was on the sideline going, "Give me my man, give me old boy right there, give me that," and he put that squad together. So, shouts out to Tom Brady, man.
Yeah, I agree with that. Fig, what's your thoughts?
Man, I think I don't think that this is the blueprint to beating like the Kansas City Chiefs. I think if the Kansas City Chiefs had their full roster, I think at least it would have been a better game. And I really believe that the Kansas City Chiefs would have ended up winning because the type of pressure that Patrick Mahomes was under yesterday was it was just unbelievable and unprecedented. You know what I mean? I haven't seen anything like that in quite a long time. And I'll tell you this, had it been an immobile quarterback back there, the game would have been even more lopsided. So I think when the Kansas City Chiefs are at full strength, I think they're going to come back to breaking off their foot and other teams behind. And I'll tell you one more thing. I wouldn't want to see them again if I was Tampa Bay.
Good point. Let me ask you this.
I would not want to see them again.
That's not a bad point, Fig. I mean, but we don't get to if that though.
No, I tell you what, I put money on it right now. The next time the Kansas City Chiefs, being in full strength, meet the Tampa Bay Buccaneers,
what if they're not in full strength?
I'm willing to put up $100 right now that the Kansas City Chiefs will break their foot off in Tampa Bay's behind the very next time they meet them.
What if they're not at full strength, though, Fig?
Well, full strength, you know, if you're not at full strength,
exactly. So you can't.
That's the whole thing. But that's my whole point. They wasn't at full strength last night. They was missing 3 starting offensive linemen. That's really big. And Patrick Mahomes was running for his life the whole game.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but it's something to be said for getting your ass whooped, and they got their butts whooped. Now, you play with whoever you get to play. You don't get to choose, man. Boy, y'all lucky we didn't have Steph Curry. Well, nigga, Steph Curry ankle broke.
Right. Well, listen, it's like the one arm boxer, and he lost fight. He's like, and a right, and another right, and another right, and another right. And you interview him after. He say, "Yo, man, how'd you end up losing the fight?" He said, "I think it was a devastating right."
Let me ask you this: since now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the game, right? And since it's a combination question, and since the Rams obviously they got the Matthew Stafford and everything else, do you think NFL teams are going to start stacking now? Because over the week, a lot of players are calling the Rams, because they're available players, seeing if they could get on that team. Also, a lot of players last night when they were interviewed after the game, they talk about they're going to come back and play for the Bucs for let's be honest, for short change. Now, when you have a winning team, people are willing to take some money off their what they're going to make. So, do you think now that we could expect to start seeing a lot more teams stacking? Because let's be honest, you don't normally see a team get stacked like the way Tom Brady stacked the Bucs. What do you think, Rodney Perry?
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me to start seeing that happen. But it's different in the NFL than you could see in the NBA, because it takes a lot of moving pieces to make a football team go. And it takes the right perfect storm, the right guy at the center of the storm. So with Tampa Bay having Tom Brady at the center of the storm, that makes everybody go, man. If I'm a lineman, if I'm a wide receiver, and I want to get a chip, and Brady is at the helm, that makes sense to me. I might not make this a move for Matt Stafford.
Yeah, because Brady has won. Matt Stafford hasn't won nothing. Yeah. What you think, Fake? You think that teams are going to start stacking?
I don't think so, but I think like what Rodney said is the perfect storm. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody that scored yesterday for Tampa Bay was not on the team last year. Mm-hmm. So you had Antonio Brown, you had Gronkowski, and you had the running back Fournette. Those were the three guys that scored yesterday, all of the touchdown, all of the scores and stuff like that, with the exception of the kicker. These guys were all available and free agents at the time when they went over to Tampa Bay. I don't think guys are just going to start leaving their team or trying to opt out or break their contract to go play for another team like you have in NBA basketball. I don't think that's going to happen in the NFL. These guys just happen to be available at the time. So that's why I think they were able to make that transition over to Tampa Bay and play with Tom Brady.
Okay, but let me just say this. Like I said at the beginning of this question, let me say this. Will guys be willing to stay and play? Because I'm not talking about guys who leave contract like in the NBA. I'm talking about guys right now who are available, because all the guys last night who played, who you just mentioned, almost all of them are available. They got signed 1-year contracts. You know what I mean? And they are beginning to say, hey, I will come back for a discount, because usually when you win a Super Bowl, you get a pay raise. But a lot of these guys say, no, I'll play less so we can keep the whole team together. That's basically what I'm saying. And if teams feel that they could do the same thing on the other side, like with the Rams, you know what I mean? Because the Rams, look, they got Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald on Saturday night won the Defensive Player of the Year, and I think that was his third or fourth time. So I'm basically saying, is it possible to you, do you think that they could start stacking with the right QB at the helm and the right pieces at the helm? And Rodney Perry, you said it. You said what?
I mean, you make a great point, Frank. I mean, but here's why it could happen in Tampa Bay. Yes. You know, you got Tom Brady. He's probably going to play one more year. He's going to give it 300%. He's going to try to get us there. Again, never bet against Tom Brady. Will you see that in other teams? Nobody else has the cachet of Tom Brady.
Right.
Nobody.
You know what the funny thing is? I'm willing to bet.
I got to get my money. If I'm a player, I got to get my money.
Right. But I'm willing to bet now more players who are available are going to start calling Tampa Bay. That's what I think is getting ready to happen. I think it's getting ready to get worse. You know what I mean? I think players who are available, some of them want to call Matthew Stafford and the Rams, but almost all of them, Tom Brady can pick and choose, which is the reason why I can't stand the comparisons of Tom Brady, the player, with Tom Brady, the GM, because right now all the players are getting ready to pick and choose is call him. It's not like it is before, but that's my thought. What you think, Fig?
Well, in New England is a tough place to play. I mean, I heard it said earlier today that when Gronk retired, and they interviewed him when he retired from New England, he damn near had a breakdown on national TV, crying, talking about, the strain and the mental stress that he was going through and stuff like that. Come back to Tampa Bay, another team with his teammate Tom Brady, and gets a score, gets a touchdown, and is talking about coming back next year. So when it comes down to coach, GM, and player, other players are always going to select being on the field with another player when you're talking about NFL football. So I would imagine that everybody would choose Tom Brady over Bill Belichick when it comes to, them making their own decision as to who they want to play with. Because, hey, look, the bottom line, you call him GOAT, you call him whatever you want. He's a 7-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. And who don't want to play with that?
7-time winning QB and won 2 Super Bowl rings with 2 different teams, which he's an elite company. There's nobody else who could even say that type of stuff and everything else. Now let's talk about the
not as many rings, but on 2 teams, you still got Peyton Manning, who won with the Colts and then with the Broncos.
That's what I was about to say that. Let's talk about the next thing and jump in and say, look at the recap and say, okay, now next year's planning, right? Riley Perry, you got next year's planning. You're a team. You're sitting there. You guys say, okay, we already know what we up against. Tampa Bay might come back with the entire team squad. We know Kansas City is getting ready to come back with mostly everybody they got coming back. How do we beat either one of those teams if we're going to make a difference? What you got to do in order to even make a dent in it, because you know, like I know, Kansas City and the AFC, they getting ready to be on a tear because they real upset from losing that Super Bowl and getting embarrassed on national TV. Right,
and you got to wrap your mind around this too. This was the worst football season ever.
Yep.
No preseason. It took all the teams 4 or 5 weeks to figure it out. And so with that, you're going into a new season with preseason, everything. Excuse me. Vaccines in place. So with that, you're going to see teams way more equipped to deal with people like Tom Brady. So I think, it's harder for an NFL team to repeat. I don't care who it is. And so we got a full season of tape on Tom Brady with these guys. We've seen every incarnation of it. They could have got beat. Tom Brady threw 3 picks against Green Bay. So they could have lost along the way. So they're a product of the perfect storm. So they're not far away from the next set of teams. Neither one of these teams. Even Kansas City, who's been letting people get out and then catching them, they couldn't do that this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the field is not as far away from those two teams as we would think.
I would definitely agree with that. Fig, do other NFL teams out there got hope that they could catch? Do you agree with Rodney Perry? Other teams out there like Green Bay, just basically a lot of teams out there, they feel like they have hope to be able to catch a Kansas City or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
No, you can't catch them. The only hope you got of beating the Kansas City Chiefs or the Tampa Bay or Tampa Bay, whatever you want to call the Bucs, is if they're injured. Because that was the only reason I believe that Kansas City looked so pedestrian yesterday. It's because they was injured. Now, if you could get them injured again, and you could get 3 offensive linemen out, and you could get 2 of their top receivers to drop touchdown passes, then you can beat the Kansas City Chiefs. If they're completely injured and decimated.
So which is it, Fig? Are they injured or they drop passes? Which is it?
It was both. It was absolutely both.
What I'm saying is, the guys that dropped the passes weren't injured.
What happened?
The guy that dropped the pass wasn't injured.
I'm saying the offensive line, 3 starting offensive linemen were injured, and 2 guys dropped touchdowns. They dropped passes in the end zone. True enough. Said if you can duplicate that, then you have a chance of beating the Kansas City Chiefs. But if you can't duplicate that,
we play football. People get injured. That's part of the game.
Yeah, but they don't get injured every year.
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
no, I'm saying the same guys don't get injured every year on the same team.
Well, let me just say this. Let me say this. When the beauty of football is people can win and they win with injuries. You know what I mean? And people could lose with injuries. So you don't use that as an excuse. But Kansas City, if you guys remember, I don't know if you guys remember this, but before the NFL playoffs started, I said to everybody on this panel, I said, wouldn't it be something if Kansas City gets taken out by injuries or COVID? I said that, and I said I didn't expect it to happen in the Super Bowl. I did say it'd be a crying shame if we got to the Super Bowl and then COVID pulled some players. COVID pulled 1 or 2 of Kansas City Chiefs linemen out of the game. I was sorry to see that, but three got pulled out. 1 of them was injuries, 2 was COVID. You know what I mean? And then you had a wide receiver for Kansas City with injuries. I mean, Kansas City got hit with the whole thing. But you know what? So did Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, the playing field was even in a sense. You know what I mean? The playing field was even. COVID affected everybody just as well as it affected injuries. You know what I mean? I think it was even. But again,
who was out on Tampa Bay?
Huh?
Who was out on Tampa Bay?
No, I'm not saying everybody was out. I'm just saying. You could have got COVID like I could have got COVID. You could.
Right.
I'm saying the playing field was even. It just so happened it crippled them. And it didn't, you know what I mean? So I say all to say. I think what Rodney Perry said in his answer just now was very real. One fact saying this was the craziest and the worst NFL season. This upcoming season is going to be even more different. So begins with my next upcoming question. My next question is, Friday night, Rodney Perry, Carson Wentz news heated up dramatically, saying is that he will be traded before Friday. Depending on where he goes, could he topple either one of those teams? And where do you see him land at right now? Because only a handful of teams can take that contract. But if he returns to MVP form, which I'm willing to bet he does, because he's going to have it out for Philadelphia, where do you see he go, and how much of a dent you think he's going to make it to the NFL season this upcoming year? Rodney.
Well, I'm not the right person to ask this question. I think Carson Wentz is a pile of doo-doo. And I'm not a fan. I hate him with a passion. I don't know why. I want to like the guy, but he is horrible. Okay. Carson Wentz has let this team down over and over again. He played good one season. He got the money, and he has yet to do anything since then. Yet to do. And he had the audacity to look at the Eagle organization and be like, I want to trade? Man, shut up.
Wow,
like, he pretending that he good. He's not good. Or he's just good.
Wow, Roddy. I don't know why you so hard on Carson Wentz, but I don't know.
He's a loser.
All right, let me ask Fig. Fig, same question. What you think?
Look, I mean, I'm not sure if Carson Wentz could get back to what he used to be, but if you can protect this dude, he has shown that he has the propensity to be able to be an elite, accurate throwing quarterback. Now, he did get injured, and every time after that, he seemed like Patrick Mahomes yesterday, that he was running for his life. Like every time he got the ball, it was like a jailbreak. You know what I mean? And he had the jibs, if you will. You know what I mean? Every time they snapped the ball and he saw a defensive lineman coming towards him, you know, he winced. Like his name, he winced. So I think he could get back to his form on a new team with a better line and better surrounding cast. That's what I think.
All right, Rodney Perry, look in your crystal ball. Where does Carson Wentz land at this time next year? I mean, where do you think he goes?
Here goes the crazy part. He could mess around and end up in the Bear uniform.
Mm-hmm.
He could easily end up in the Bear uniform, and then I would have to change my tune.
Yeah, but he Bears have a good defense, bro. If he goes there,
Bears got a decent defense, but he's gonna run to the same problem that Patrick Mahomes dealt with at the Super Bowl, a suspect offensive line, and he's proven he's just okay with an okay offensive line, and so he like no quarterback is good laying on the ground. No
Very
quarterback,
true.
and so Tom Brady had. Dude, it was at one point during the game, Tom Brady was just he looked at 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
Like the touchdown that Gronk called the touch, he looked at Gronk like 5th option.
Right.
So could Carson Wentz end up in a Bear uniform? Maybe. The Bears are cheap, but they might be willing to they don't have a quarterback. And they probably be willing to get him. He's got enough cachet to end up in the Bear uniform.
Okay. All right. Fig, look in your crystal ball. Tell me where Carson Wentz ends up next year.
You know, Carson Wentz very well could end up on the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
They need a quarterback. Mm-hmm. Or the Bears. The Bears is a good thing. You know what I mean? The Bears is a good guess. If I had to guess 1 or 2 teams, I would say either the Bears or the 49ers.
You know what the funny thing is both of y'all took my picks, and my third option would be the Indianapolis Colts. I can see him on the Bears, I can see him on the 49ers, or the Indianapolis Colts. Those are 3 teams.
I'm not mad at the Colts either. That could be something.
Yeah, because if he lands with the Colts got some wide receivers. They got a great defense. Like they could do something. Now let's let me last question with the NFL before we jump into NBA. Houston got like 10 calls in the last 7-8 days for Deshaun Watson, and they keep saying they're not trading Deshaun Watson no matter what happens, no matter how good it happens. Now we've all seen this before. We've all heard this before where a player don't want to play. I don't know, man, Rodney Perry. Who going to blink first? You think Deshaun Watson going to blink and play? Or do you think Houston's going to blink and trade him? What you think?
This is the crazy part. Houston has proven to be really stubborn. Everybody on the streets is telling me that the only reason they got rid of Hopkins was over some personal stuff. And so they've proven to be super petty.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so with that pettiness, it's like, yo, are they petty enough to keep this dude? Yes. Mm-hmm. They are that petty. So I think that Watson will play for them before they acquiesce and let him go.
Okay. All right. So that's what you think. Right. Fig, do you think Houston will blink or do you think Deshaun Watson will blink? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I'm going to tell you like this. It's February, which means it's Black History Month. And those of y'all that know, I used to eat crackers on the air. And I used to eat saltines. But in honor of Black History Month, I switched to Ritz because this is the brown cracker. It's a good cracker. Good cracker. So I'm rolling with my man, Deshaun Watson, getting out of Texas. Get out of Texas. Get out of there. I'd say he don't play nothing. He ain't playing for Texas. He's like, y'all can keep me. Y'all can hold on to my contract, but I ain't playing. You gonna let me go. And I'm saying me and Ritz is down with him and saying, let my people go. Let us go. Give us free. That's what they give us free. We want out.
I think he wants out, but I don't think that team is going to just let him go without some big, something big coming back. So, maybe he ends up in the Eagle uniform and they swap Carson Wentz. And is that an even trade?
It depends on what Philly gives up. You know what I mean? It depends on what they give up.
Quarterback for quarterback. Even trade.
Quarterback for quarterback is not an even trade. No.
Not even close.
Watson has got more upside.
Yeah. He's younger. He scrambles better. He's faster. He's better. He's over
5,000 yards, and they won 4 games.
Yeah. Overall, he's just a much better quarterback.
But he's coming in a loser. When you win 4 games, that takes your cachet down a little bit, and you got a big contract versus a big contract. That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, you could be right. Maybe they make that phone call and make it. Maybe throwing
if I'm Houston and I give me a nice, good regulation white boy in here, I might be happy with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Because if you're Houston, yeah. I mean, I can see it. I can see it. I can't.
Carson Wentz with Deshaun Watson.
Carson Wentz, Deshaun Watson, and some draft picks. Yeah, I can see that happening.
Oh, and some draft picks. Okay.
Yeah. It would have to be some draft. If you look at the trade just now, what happened with Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff, and what the swap was, and the draft picks that went along, right. They clearly went on with the statistics of what each player made. They didn't include who made the Super Bowl and who didn't. You know what I mean? Jared Goff made it the Super Bowl, and he got traded away basically for nothing in a pack of crackers. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Yeah,
one of the Ritz crackers though.
Ritz crackers. Everything tastes great when it sits on the Ritz.
Yeah, that's a good cracker. Unless you're Jared Goff, who just sat on some Ritz and got shipped out for some crackers, because he didn't get nothing. Like they didn't get nothing for him. All right, let's talk about the NBA. We got to move the conversation. Let's talk about the NBA. I'm sure this is going to make Fig pretty happy. And I guess I'm going to start even ask you the question first, Fig. Because the Knicks acquired Derrick Rose from the Pistons for guard Dennis Smith Jr. and a 2021 second round pick. I'm gonna ask you, Fig, because you are a diehard Knicks fan. Does Derrick Rose coming back to the Knicks make the Knicks a better team?
Yeah, man. Because Derrick Rose is he's a dope point guard, man. He's serviceable and stuff like that. He's a slasher, a scorer. The only thing I didn't like about Derrick Rose is like his 3-point shooting, but the Knicks got some knockdown shooters right now, and I can see Derrick Rose getting to the paint and kicking the ball out to some shooters and stuff like that. I think with Derrick Rose we can make some noise because a couple of the games that the Knicks played, they lost it in the fourth quarter and stuff like that with the young players that we have, and they, you know, they wasn't able to get over the hump. We've been doing fairly well with what we have, and we didn't have to give up a lot for them. We didn't, you know, sell our entire future to get a player like Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is he's a good dude, former MVP, and a damn good point guard. If he can stay healthy, Derrick Rose is box office.
Okay. Fig, Rodney Perry, what's your thoughts?
I called this last week. I said if anybody would take rickety old Derrick Rose, it was gonna be the Knicks. I called it. Let's go to the tape. I called it last week. I said if any and what did they say, Frank? Oh no, we don't want no Derrick Rose. And now Derrick Rose is gonna be good for the team. Which is it? Which is it? Goodness gracious. Okay, how about this? This is what's good about Derrick Rose. The guy that they traded him for, right, was getting almost no points a game. At least Derrick Rose is uptake from him at 14 points a game. And you know, he's gonna get some assists. That's a good look, and he brings in veteran leadership to a young squad. So I think it's a good look. Derrick Rose going to the Knicks. And it's like my esteemed colleagues always say, once a Knick, always a Knick. So he's coming back, he's putting the uniform on, and he's getting out of funky Detroit.
Right.
Yes,
right.
sir. Right. And let me tell you this.
The only team worse than the Knicks is the Detroit Pistons.
Man, let me tell you this. Dennis Smith Jr. was not playing. I don't think he played in one game for the Knicks this year. So giving up Dennis Smith Jr. for Derrick Rose is not a loss to us at all.
I know, it's up. It's up.
But see, the problem that I had was, you know, the Knicks we got a history of making bad trades, giving up like 4 or 5 young good players to get one player. That's why I didn't want Derrick Rose. I thought they was going to give up the farm to get him. But for Dennis Smith Jr., a dude that wasn't playing, oh yeah. And the last time that Derrick Rose made MVP, guess who his coach was? Tom Thibodeau, which is the coach of the Knicks. This is a good marriage. This is a good marriage.
So everything.
And I can't take nothing away. Them Knicks is looking good.
I can't. Everything Fig said right now, I can't dispute. The only problem I had with the trade was they gave up a 2021 draft. That's a draft pick for this year. They gave up a draft pick for this year. That was my problem I had. Now, if it was a Derrick Rose for, you know, which they wouldn't have did. They had to ask for a draft.
It's a second round pick, though. I mean,
yeah, but there's some diamonds in the rough in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like NBA is like the NFL. Like you don't know what even though where you might be slotted at in the draft, that doesn't necessarily mean you're getting a bum. You could get somebody who is just not turned that corner yet. You know what I mean? You could really find a diamond and not even realize it. You could be like, wow, this guy was really, really good. But let me
like a Draymond Green.
Yeah, I mean, you go down a list of NBA players. There's some guys in the NBA Hall of Fame who weren't in the top 10 draft pick. You know what I mean? Like, so you just never know what you get.
Van Vliet wasn't even drafted.
That's what I'm about to say, Van. You never know because look at Van Vliet. He wasn't even drafted. Let me say this. Let me ask you guys this. Friday night, right? I was watching the Brooklyn Nets game, right? I don't know what's going on. I see Kevin Garnett. I see Kevin Durant go in and out the game. And I'm like, well, what's going on with Kevin Durant? Kevin Durant. Then I'm thinking, are they about to cancel this game? What is going on? And then they told you the whole story. Now, I am utterly confused with this COVID situation. I'm going to be the first one to tell you, Rodney Perry, I am completely confused. Why would they let Kevin Durant play in the game, take him out, let him come back in the game, and then take him out, and then continue on with the NBA game if it was COVID protocol? I'm completely lost. What's your thoughts, Rodney Perry?
Are they saying it was protocol? Because the story I saw was that he was on the sideline tweeting like, "Give me the ball."
No, he was saying he wanted to get in the game, but they pulled him out of the game because somebody came from the back of the Nets and saying that he was in contact with somebody who had COVID, so they weren't certain, so they pulled him. Then they said, okay, everything looks clear. The guy looks clear. They let him come back in. Then they pulled him from the game again when the test came back again that the guy was positive.
Is that the barber that was infected everybody that said the barber had it?
No, the barber was for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a completely different guy he was in contact with. And what Kevin Durant was doing was he was in contact with the guy who was in contact with somebody who had COVID. So the guy came back and came out and said that this guy was not positive. So they let him play. Then it came back 15 minutes, 20 minutes later. Then somebody from the NBA said, no. Not only him and his friend is positive, then they pulled Kevin Durant. So now if his friend is positive and Kevin Durant is playing, why not cancel the whole game? I mean, I was completely confused because now Kevin Durant was supposed to be in contact with somebody. You know what I mean? And then they continue.
They are definitely contact tracing, which they're using that to kind of get us an indication of what's what. But they also got to test him. So they probably tested him on one of them rapid tests, and he probably just tested negatives. That's the only way you keep the game going.
Yeah, but it was confusing to me because of the simple fact being that the guy who he was next to tested positive. So now Kevin Durant plays the game. First they got a false negative. Kevin Durant plays the game. He goes back in the game. He's playing with everybody else. Then they pull him and then the guy tests positive. That's my point. Like I don't know, Fig, what you think?
I mean, that can happen, though. Fig could have it, and I'd be standing next to him and not get it.
Yeah, but you're playing an NBA game.
The thing about it is, I think before they let Kevin Durant in the game, they tested him, and the test came back negative. Then he went into the game, and he was playing. They didn't pull him until the end of the third quarter. I'm like, by this time, if he was going to affect anybody, they was already infected. So, I mean, at that point, why just pull KD? You know what I mean? Like you said, Frank, I'm just like, why didn't they cancel the game? Because he had been playing for 3 quarters. And anybody that he was going to be in contact with, he was already in contact with him.
Yeah.
What you say, Rodney?
Or it's just all posturing and they don't really care. They just got to show some effort, and they just got busted showing weak effort.
You mean like the NFL and the protocol where you get hit in the head?
Yeah,
you just got to show something, make it look like you care.
Yeah,
dude, anybody like me? I'm watching the Super Bowl, and I said, "Well, how they let all these people in here?" And it was them cardboard people.
Yeah.
A lot of people like that.
I thought they had the COVID sniffing dogs. I was like, man, there's a lot of people at this game.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It brings up my next question. My next question is: does that what they just did with the game last Friday night with Kevin Durant? You think that's going to affect the All-Star game, Rodney Perry? You think that they're going to sit there and say, "Look, this is what happened, and this is how we're going to handle it, and this is how we're going to move forward with the NBA All-Star game"? Because they're still up in the air about this.
Man, it don't seem like it's up in the air at all, man. Of course, I'm here in Atlanta, and a lot of people, political folks, people in and around Atlanta are going, no NBA All-Star game here. Don't bring it here. And they coming.
Oh, so in Atlanta, they against it?
It's people on the streets that's definitely against it, political folks, but it looks like the NBA is coming, whether we like it or not.
Yeah,
and, I think they got obligations to do television and stuff like that. I don't know if they care as much about people in the stadium, but they definitely need to be on television doing this All-Star game, and they will.
What you think?
I think, the funny thing about it is when the All-Star game comes, it usually brings a lot of revenue to the city. You know what I mean? A lot of businesses make money and stuff like that. But in this case, I don't think it's going to be that because, because of the COVID and certain places are shut down. Although I hear Atlanta's open, I can't imagine, a lot of the big parties and stuff that would happen around NBA All-Star weekend is going to go on. So I don't know how much money that game will inject into the city of Atlanta. But the one thing that I do know that I believe the NBA is most concerned with and most interested in is that TV revenue, because that TV revenue far outweighs anything else that you could possibly get. I mean, hell, a 30-second spot on the Super Bowl last night was $5 to $6 million for 30 seconds. So there's a lot of TV money with these advertisers, and the advertisers was probably clamoring that they wanted an NBA All-Star game. And I think the NBA hands was forced that they have to put the game on, and they got to put it on somewhere, and they're putting it on in Atlanta.
In other news, I've heard this morning, a friend of mine texted me from LA, talking about that, they're trying to make sure they make some major moves. Something's going to happen majorly in the NBA landscape before NBA All-Star break or around the NBA All-Star break, which is, about 3 weeks away, 2 weeks away.
They haven't released the schedule for the second half of the season yet either.
No, they haven't, because they have to release the second half of the schedule. They have to release a couple of other things. And most importantly, the NBA is counting on somebody to leave. My friend texted me and said, he wouldn't be surprised if PJ Tucker's on the move. You know what I mean? He said, because Houston right now is supposed to be making calls about PJ Tucker, but Houston's playing very, very well right now because of PJ Tucker. He assumed that PJ Tucker could land on the Lakers or the Clippers, but he thinks PJ Tucker is going to come to LA one way or the other and be that blockbuster trade. I'm asking you, Rodney Perry, do you think PJ Tucker is going to be on the move? Because let's be honest, PJ Tucker came out and said in the offseason he doesn't want to stay in Houston. He wants to leave Houston. He might have changed his mind now because Houston's playing well, but he wants to win an NBA championship. So he's looking at, the team is looking at the shop, and LA could be the place, whether it's the Clippers or the Lakers. What's your thoughts when you hear about this, Rodney Perry?
I mean, I like PJ Tucker. I would be, then you start to wonder, like Fig, like who do they got to give up? Either team to get him. I like, again, Houston is one of those bad cities, man. And no diss to Houston, but they don't really embrace those teams. That's why these owners get to do whatever they want. The teams don't. The city don't back the either way, and so I think he'd be a great addition to the Lakers. I don't know who has to go if he come though. I mean, do you lose Kuzma? Do you lose who do you give up? And is he going to be a definite third option? I think he fits better into the Clipper organization.
Wow, you think the Clippers? Okay. Fig, where do you think he fits in better if he's even traded to LA for the Clippers or the Lakers?
Where does he fit in better? Wow. That's big because PJ Tucker's a dog. You know what I mean? Like straight out dog. On the defense, he is like one of the toughest dudes to have defending you. And I don't care who you are because he's not real long, but he's solid and he plays really, really, really good defense. And he gets rebounds and he has the ability to knock down that corner three at a high clip. So he's a high quality player on a bad team right now. I'm just trying to figure out whether what is racking my brain right now, like Rodney said, who do you have to give up for a PJ Tucker, and does it mess up the chemistry of your team? If I had to say which team would need him the most right now, I think maybe the Lakers, because I think the Lakers are missing that defensive aggression. That's what I think the Lakers are missing. When they got rid of Dwight Howard and they got rid of JaVale McGee, I think they lost something when thinking that you just put in any big man like Pau Gasol, and Anthony Davis has no interest in playing center. I think PJ Tucker will fit because PJ Tucker, believe it or not, when they went small ball, which I didn't agree with in Houston, PJ Tucker was the center. He was the guy guarding the big player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, PJ Tucker one of the most underrated players in the league, bro.
Yeah, he does a lot, man. PJ Tucker is just, I think he's one of the most underrated players in the NBA right now because he does so much. He's like that Swiss Army knife. There's so many things that he does well.
Yeah.
Bradley Beal could be on the move too.
Who's that?
Yeah. Bradley Beal. Yeah.
Woo!
But the thing is, Bradley Beal has it in the contract where he has to, again, one of those contracts you have to approve where he wants to go, everything else. Now, the other hot name that happened over the weekend I saw all the boards is Kyle Lowry to Miami, and that's like the fourth time I've seen that in the last 3 or 4 months. And like I said, I think a lot of teams are trying to make some kind of noise because of the simple fact being they're trying to see people back in the stands. And they got to do something that's going to create shockwave through the NBA, you know what I mean, for revenue stream and all that. Kyle Lowry to the Miami Heat could be that for Miami because Miami's losing some games. You know what I mean? They're not where they were. They're just not the team that they were like we expected them to be. You know, maybe Kyle Lowry comes in. Maybe they make another big splash, and maybe then Miami's right back there again. I mean, you just never know. But is Kyle Lowry the answer for Miami, Rodney Perry?
Man, I think the Miami need more than the Kyle Lowry. You know, they need to get some size. You know, Kyle Lowry don't give them no size. I mean, Hero is still balling out. You know, they still got some good guard play. I don't know if they need a Kyle Lowry. You know, I mean, I think if anything, Miami need a 3, 4, 5, not a 1 or 2 at all, in my opinion. Yeah,
that's a great point. What's your point, Fig?
I like Kyle Lowry to that team. Rodney is right. They do need a little size, but here's the thing about Kyle Lowry. He takes more charges than anybody in the NBA. Kyle Lowry plays defense, and he's a floor general. He's savvy. He's a veteran, and he can knock down the open three. I know they have Hero that shoots the three at a good clip, but now it gives you somebody else that you have to pay attention to. You know what I mean? Now, here's the thing. Here's the big thing. Who do you got to give up?
Yeah, that's always the question. Last question. The Joker, Nikola Jokic, played in a losing effort, and he was the first center to put up 50 points and 10 assists in a loss to the Kings since Kareem. Now, do you think that Joker is – I'm going to say this. I think Joker's still really, really good. I think he's going to continue to get even better. I think in the next 3 to 5 years, he could end up being the best center in the game of basketball. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he moves. I don't think he's going to stay with the team, but, you know, we'll see. Rodney Perry, what do you think about the Joker? You think the Joker could end up being the MVP of the league in the next 3 to 5?
Hey, man, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised at all. I was not on the bandwagon with this guy, but I really sat down and watched him over the last, 5 or 6 games. I've been watching those games. And first of all, he might be the best passing big man I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, the guy throws passes at such a clip that it's just, pocket. I mean, he's like LeBron almost. The way he passes, no, I'll take it back. He's like Magic.
Okay.
No!
Magic.
Stop now. Stop. Sacrilegious. It's sacrilegious.
The guy's incredible, Fig. Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is sacrilegious. Sacrilegious. Right here, I never thought that this would happen on the box seats, that we would go this far and sink this low. We have lowered the standards of the box seats. First, Frank mentioning the Joker and the captain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, in the same sentence. How dare you? How dare? Then Rodney goes even further with the blasphemy and talks about Kareem's teammate, Irvin Magic Johnson. I can't believe it. Joker is good. I love the guy. I love Joker. Jokic. I love him as a big man, as a player and stuff like that. But he is not even in the stratosphere of a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and an Irvin Magic Johnson. I wanted to stop. Not even LeBron James. Joker is not even.
Dude, this dude is a passing fool. Have you seen some of the tight man?
Yeah, I have, but he's not Kareem Magic or LeBron. This guy.
Big. You ever see that show called Different Strokes when little dude used to say, "What you talk about?" That's what I'm gonna tell you. What you talk about? Because all I said about Kareem was, and I'll say it again. All I said about Kareem was he's the first center since Kareem. I didn't say he's better than Kareem. I said he's the first.
I know you didn't say he's better, but they shouldn't even be mentioned in the same sentence.
I can understand that, but he's the first center since Kareem to put up 50 points and 10 assists. No center.
I wish we had enough time so I could tell you all the things that Kareem did from high school to college to the NBA.
That's not the point.
Before we go, best commercial of the Super Bowl.
I ain't like none of them.
Oh man,
the Tracy Morgan commercial was crazy.
Can I take the what one?
Tracy Morgan.
Oh, he was funny. That's my dude. But let me tell you the one that got me. Michael B. Jordan as Alexa. I'm like, hold up, man. Alexa is supposed to be a girl. How you got Michael B. Jordan taking off his shirt and he gonna be Alexa? No.
Right, let me just say this. That I thought you were talking about commercials that debuted on the Super Bowl. That Alexa commercial debuted before that. So that's why I was like,
oh, I mean, they ran it during the Super Bowl, but that was my first time seeing it. I heard about it.
It was my first time seeing it. You know, Frank, y'all get different commercials up in Boston than we get. That was the first time that we seen it nationally.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. Anyway, yo, that's the show. We gotta get ready to go. Callan will be back tomorrow. I gotta thank Rodney Perry and Fig for joining the show. Rodney, tell everybody out there how they can follow you.
Hey, I'm easy to find. RodneyPerry.com is the website. Rodney Perry Live is the all the social media, and see y'all on virtual streets. Yeah.
Fig.
You can find your boy Comedian Fig right there at Comedian Fig on all social media platforms. And if you can't find me there, bomb! You know where to find me, baby, on the Box Seats, Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. The best damn sports show on television.
All right, tomorrow we'll be back. I'm sure Talent is going to get in on Talent can't even wait. He been texting me everything. He can't wait to bring it to me tomorrow. So y'all going to hear it. Y'all going to see it tomorrow because I picked the Chiefs. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to take it like a man. It's coming tomorrow, 1 to 2. It's the show called The Box Seats. I'm Frank. That's Roddy. That's Fig. We'll be back tomorrow between 1 to 2 o'clock. Of course, on the Humor Mill channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all. Take it easy.